In today's gospel, Jesus is on his way back to Jerusalem. This is in Luke chapter 19. And it's kind of a strange parable he tells them there's always a crowd around Jesus. There's always those fans and those seeking, more of who this figure is or what he's giving. There's miracles associated with him. He feeds with very little food. He can multiply things, fish and bread. He's a miracle worker, and he teaches words that no one's ever heard. So there's always a crowd, generally, around Jesus. In the 19th chapter of Luke, right away, he addresses the crowd. And he gives them a kind of strange story about money and trading. He says, before a nobleman was going to be made king, but before so, he went off to a distant country. So to secure his kingship, or he did something in a far off land. Maybe he was on vacation. But he left his servants in charge, and he gave 10 gold coins to the servants. When he came back, he asked for those servants he gave the coins to recount their trade and so forth. One figure right away says, here's your gold coin, and here's 10 more. So very smart and a good steward of the resources and money that the master gave him, and he 10x'd his investment by just giving this steward. It must have been a pretty good trader or businessman, but he wound up, increasing his fortune. The second person did the same thing, but only 5x. So he gave back the coin and said, here's your coin, and here's 5 more. And then the third person, this is where it gets interesting. The third person might have been trembling, maybe afraid, but just comes forward and he opens this little handkerchief. He says, here's your gold coin back. And he didn't do anything with it. He buried it. And the reason why is because he was afraid of the master, because he knew he was demanding, taking up where he didn't build, or harvesting what he didn't plant, etc. So right off the bat, you're kind of wondering, well, what kind of noble king is this that's taking and stealing from others that he didn't earn? Some of his servants doing what they were told, and this one servant, I kind of relate more with him than the others. I don't know how to make $10 more out of just a one. But he calls him wicked. So this is a puzzling parable. It's puzzled me my whole life. I don't really know what's going on. I just think, here are my thoughts. I think Jesus is trying to emphasize responsibility. And if God gives you, or if you have certain talents, use them for the good. Give them back. If God gave you the talent to sing, you should share that with other people to help. They can't sing. Not everyone can. Not everyone is musically inclined. But if you share it with the world, that talent, that gift, can be multiplied. And if you're really good at trading, if you're going to get into the worldliness of it all, if you're a good business person and you really know how to make $1, stretch it and make more, give some of that away. Give some of that excess wealth to the poor and charitable causes. So these 3 examples, I'm not sure how they all relate to the story together, but in the end, Jesus is trying to maybe make a point. And he says, for those who have been given, more will be given to those who have. How did he word it? He says, because he yells at the servant who, he's like, why didn't you put it in a bank and gain interest? So he kind of really calls him out. And apparently maybe he is wicked. It says he is, but I can't help relate with him more. So this is one of the most puzzling parables. With your own words I shall condemn you, Jesus says. He says, you wicked servant, you knew I was a demanding person, taking up what I did not lay down and harvesting what I did not plant. Why did you not put my money into a bank? That on the return I would have gained interest. And then he addresses the crowd and to those standing around. He says, I tell you, oh, he says, give the coin to the one who has 10. And they're like, but he's got 10. So the crowd's kind of confused too. He's like, sir, he has 10 gold coins. And then Jesus replies, excuse me, this is the parable. So this is the king who's being made king. He's the new guy. Tyrant or not, I don't know. He says, I tell you, to everyone who has, more will be given. But from the one who has not, even what he has will be taken away. So I don't get that. I remember in seminary and literally 2 decades of meditating on scripture and preaching and teaching it, I still struggle with this. He says, from the one who has not, even what he has will be taken away. Now, as for those enemies of mine who did not want me as their king, I skipped that part. Yeah, a lot of the people didn't want him as king, maybe because he was wicked. He says, bring them here and slay them before me. So the king slays everybody that didn't want him as king. Okay. And the ones that were faithful and did what they were asked, I think has something to do with obedience and responsibility. God rewarded them. He says, lastly, Jesus says, after he had said this, Jesus, he proceeded on his journey up to Jerusalem. So he's on his journey, he's on his way, there's a crowd, he turns around, he teaches them a parable, and they probably were stunned. I mean, they're like, huh? Like I am. And he just leaves them. Now this is in the 2/3 way of the ministry of Jesus in the Luke's gospel. I think at the heart of it all is responsibility and obedience. Are you being obedient to your heart, your conscience? Maybe God has given you gifts and you're not using them for him, but you're using them for your own purpose. Maybe you know God is demanding, or at least is teaching us to love and to give and to take care of each other. If we're not doing that, we're not being responsible or kind or Christian or whatnot. We're not being faithful to the gospel, our baptism. Obedience, they all were given a coin and they were all called to trade and multiply it. So is it literal? I don't know. I think it's whatever God has given you to multiply, you should multiply it, not bury it. So whether it's the gift of music or it's the gift of leadership or the gift of cooking, hospitality, the gift of discernment of spirits, there's so many gifts and charisms. God gives us all everything. That's the other thing, is the first reading ties in. It's a sad reading about in Maccabees. There's 7 sons that are all murdered in front of their mother because they won't eat pork. And she tells them in their native language of Hebrew, he's like, I don't know how you were born in my womb, but I know you exist. And they're all dying. I mean, this was like the last son. And she's telling them, and we'll be together. And so, very sad. It literally says in Maccabees 2, Son, have pity on me, who carried you in my womb for 9 months, nursed you for 3 years, brought you up, educated, and supported you. I beg you to look at the heavens and the earth and to see all that it is in them. Then you will know that God did not make them out of existing things. In the same way, the human race into existence. Do not be afraid of this executioner, but be worthy of your brothers. She told them earlier, I do not know how you came into existence in my womb. It was not I who gave you breath of life, nor was it I who set in order the elements of which each of you is composed. Therefore, since it is the creator of the universe who shapes each man's beginning as he brings about the origin of everything, he in his mercy will give you back both bread and life, because you now disregard yourselves for the sake of the law. They all died. Very sad story. But she's trying to connect she's not the author of all these things. Same thing with, but they exist. She believes the creator of the universe put them into motion, creating every human being in their mother's womb. This gospel, I think, has to do with being responsible with God gives you. If he asks you to do something, you should try to do it. And for those talents we have, we should multiply them, whether it's money or a gift or for the community and the betterment of man. I don't know. All I know is that whatever Jesus is trying to teach, I think it has to do with being discipleship, and that we need to give back what is given to us. So, for example, some people are born into wealth and privilege. Maybe you should multiply that and give it to the King, our King, who wants us to give it to the poor. Tithing and giving to charitable causes is all over in the gospel, in the Bible. Maybe we're supposed to do that. Whether he gives us a coin and we multiply it 10 times or we multiply it 5 times, he will give more responsibility to you. And that's why he gives 10 cities to the one who made 10 and 5 cities to the one who made 5. So that's also a key element to the story, is what we do and in our response to what God gives us. He'll give us more. Hence he says, to those who have more, more will be given. And to those who have nothing, everything you have will be taken away. Again, that doesn't make any sense to me at all, but it has something to do with this parable. So if you can figure it out, good luck. That's about as best I can do on the fly in Mass, is to I'm not winging it. I just honestly have been puzzled with this for a couple decades. God bless, enjoy, and if God has given you something huge, some kind of responsibility or some grace or gift or wealth or power, maybe you're in power, give it back to the good. Give it back to God, multiply it for God, and let him, if you do so, he's going to give you more. I think that's at the heart of all of this. So God bless, and I'll see you at Mass.